What's up YouTube, it's Murphy55 coming to you with another Madden 22 video, and with the new release of Madden 23 just around the corner, EA has started to release some of the player ratings for Regs for the different position groups. So I know it's not as exciting as getting all of the MUT cards like we did in our last video, but these ones are still going to be good for anybody who plays CFM, and I'm planning on doing a 32 user CFM and featuring that on my YouTube channel this season. So this video is going to cover the wide receivers, halfbacks, defensive linemen, linebackers, and defensive backs, and we'll get a look at the top 10 at each position and see who's high on the list and who should maybe be bumped down a little bit lower. Check it out. Alright guys, so the first position group we're going to take a look at is the wide receivers, and as you can see here, there's a plethora of different options, all above 90 overall here. The top receiver on the list is Devonta Adams. Now if you look at him, his speed is only 90, which is kind of selling him, as well as the second receiver on the list too, 98 overall, Cooper Kupp, the Super Bowl MVP. Only 89 speed there, but they have 99 catching, two of the only players with 99 catching in this position group. Now, if you look down to the third on the list here, we have Tyreke Hill, the new Dolphins wide receiver. He's got 99 speed and 99 excel. If you use him in CFM, he's absolutely game-breaking, the fastest player in the game. He's also got incredible 98 overall agility. Definitely the receiver that I'd be targeting first on my draft board. Now, again, DeAndre Hopkins, great big-bodied receiver. I mean, who knows how his rating is going to be affected with the PED suspension coming up this year. Only 90 speed overall. I'd much prefer to have a faster option at that position. Now, if you look down at the bottom of the list there, we have scary Terry McLaurin, 94 speed over there, 97 catching. This is one of the players that I would target. He's also younger, so if you're doing a CFM, you know, he'd have more productive years if you end up making it through a couple seasons. 94 speed is really elite at that position, but it just goes to show the drop-off from Tyreke Hill to the next available receiver. A couple other players I want to highlight here, guys. Stefan Diggs, former Vikings wide receiver. He's got 92 speed, which is definitely usable, making him, I think, the third fastest player on this list. And Justin Jefferson almost looks like he has similar stats to him. They gave him a little bit lower acceleration, probably not based on reality, more so based in, you know, kind of a legacy thing. One thing you'll notice about these cards in Regs is that they don't necessarily make us think that devs watch the NFL. You know, 40 times and all that be damned. They're going to give, you know, a lot of the better stats, the players that are more established in the league. But this is the top 10 player list, guys, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of rookies and a lot of younger players there. They might be absolute burners on the field. When you're looking at building a team using wide receivers, speed kills, and especially in a game this year where speed is going to be a little bit slower in MUT, in Regs, you definitely want to put a bunch of speed demons on your squad. Now, moving over to the halfback position group, guys, rightfully so, King Henry is at the top of the list here, 97 overall. He's also got 93 speed, so they actually really did him a service this year, boosting his speed ability. You can see his break tackle is not actually included on this list here. He's got really good awareness, which is kind of one of those empty stats. And, you know, it's hilarious that they actually throw in throw power and kick power on this one. But I imagine that his trucking and break tackle would be very high as well. 93 speed is definitely solid. Now, if you look at McCaffrey, he's probably the best catching back on this list. So if you want a third down back, if you like to run gun bunch like I do, somebody to catch wheel routes, McCaffrey is your dude. 91 speed is still really solid, and 83 catching is the best in the game. Now look at Nick Chubb, kind of more of a power back archetype, but still 92 speed. Really solid stats over there. And Jonathan Taylor, this is the player that I'm most intrigued by on this list because they give him a blazing 94 speed, making him one of the fastest running backs in Madden 23. You know, he's also very versatile. He's got excellent carrying. 70 catching is still pretty solid. Definitely the guy that I'd be targeting with a higher draft pick in my CFM draft. Now, of course, we had to shout out Dalvin Cook, the one Vikings running back on this list. 91 speed's a little bit underwhelming considering he is such a powerhouse athlete, but could definitely get the job done for you. Looking at Alvin Kamara on this list too, guys, his catching is only 76, which seems strange because he's one of the better receiving backs in the league. You know, and his speed also got sold this year at 89 overall, but normally, you know, his agility and his pass catching makes up for it. But it seems like this year they kind of gave him a bit of an underwhelming card. I'm sure he's going to play above his stats though. And Aaron Jones, another power back type of guy, but with 90 speed, definitely not usable. And again, Zeke at the bottom of the list here. I don't know how much longer EA is going to put him in the top 10 in the league. He really hasn't had a good year for a little while. So we can definitely move on from Zeke being one of the elite backs in the league at this point, I think. Now, moving on to the defensive side of the ball, a lot more defensive players were released this week. So we have, obviously, Aaron Donald in the 99 club over there. He's got 99 strength. He's got ridiculous speed for his position as well. But then also look at this Myles Garrett card, guys. He also has incredible strength at 96 overall, but he also has 88 speed. I think at this point, Myles Garrett might be the best defensive end in the game for Regs. We see Nick Bosa coming in next on the list. His speed gets a little bit sold. His strength gets a little bit sold. Honestly, not sure what I see on his stat line that makes him worthy of a 94, but in real life, he is a dominant player. Cam Hayward, another big-bodied guy, if you're playing a 3-4, kind of plays more like a defensive tackle than a defensive end. And Vita Vea, again, the prototypical nose tackle at 93 overall with 98 strength. Moving down the list here, we have Von Miller, interestingly noted as a right end here. I kind of think of him more as an outside linebacker, but I guess later in his career, as his speed begins to dwindle, the Bills are planning on using him as a 3-4 defensive end. Again, the devs don't necessarily watch the NFL, so who knows if he's actually going to be lining up, in a 3 technique or in a 2 technique next year. We really don't know. So we have Chris Jones as well, defensive tackle, 69 speed, but one of the best nose tackles in the game in previous years, and DeForest Buckner rounding out the list at number 10. So moving on, guys, to the next position group here. This is for our linebackers, so it encompasses left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker, middle linebacker here. And TJ Watt, being the defensive player of the year last year, is a 96 overall. Now, the 83 speed is not particularly sexy for his position. Not sure if he's going to be able to scream at people in regs with speed being so low. His awareness is really high, but again, his strength is super low too. Nothing on this available stat sheet that we see really jumps out at me as being an incredible stat for him. But again, this is just showing generic physical stats for the most part. But I do think he's going to be a demon for sure. Now, Fred Warner, 85 speed. They've actually given him better speed this year than in previous years. He's one of those guys who always has a really high rating overall, but a lot of that's due to boosted awareness. 85 speed is definitely playable. Some of the cards we saw in MUT were 86 speed to start the year, so I think that this is a decent option to pick up on your team there. So we got Demario Davis, and then on to Khalil Mack in his new home, the San Diego Chargers. And you can see that we have both Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa in the top 10 edge rushers this year. So Khalil Mack's got 85 speed, which is really good, and 89 strength, and Joey Bosa's got 81 speed and 87 strength. So 2 dominant edge rushers. The Chargers might be one of the best defenses in regs this year. Moving down the list, guys, we've got a couple more 90 overall players here. We've got Bobby Wagner, 85 overall on his new team, the Los Angeles Rams. He's always been one of the best linebackers in regs, and Levante David for the Buccaneers as well. And then rounding out the list, we got Rashawn Gary from the Packers at the bottom here, although he does have 86 speed, so I'd honestly be tempted to draft him over a lot of these options above, because like I said, speed kills, especially in CFM when you're playing on all Madden. Now moving on, guys, to the safeties, the best safeties in the game, and a little bit surprising here to see Tyrann Mathieu at the top of the list, considering he was a free agent this year and didn't have a home until later in the season here, but he did sign with the Saints. 89 speed is not elite. His height is not elite. I think he's only like 5'9", 5'10", so I'm definitely going to pass on drafting him in regs. But Derwin James, probably the best Madden player in the league, at the second overall position here. 91 speed is really solid. It looks like a lot of these players on the list are actually getting sold on speed quite a bit, so I'm probably going to be tempted to go with rookie position players that might have a lower overall but a higher speed threshold. Budda Baker also at 91 speed, making them the 2 fastest guys on this top 10 list, are probably the 2 best options here. Harrison Smith, love him for the Vikings there, but only 87 speed is going to make him virtually unusable in the secondary. Jamal Adams, another player that I always like to have in CFM. He's a great user. He's pretty tall. He's got great physical characteristics. And the rest of the guys on this list, under 90 speed, not too interested in taking those guys on my squad. Moving on now, guys, to the cornerback position here. So we do have some very elite cornerbacks, and the speed is boosted a little bit over the safeties here, which makes sense, just like in real life. So for, I don't know how many years it's been running now, but Jalen Ramsey has a 98 overall card. Still probably the best lockdown cornerback in the game, although how many more years does he have at the top of his game? It remains to be seen. So Jalen Ramsey's got 92 speed, 98 awareness. Jair Alexander, another great young cornerback. I think he's only 23, 24 years old, 92 speed. He'll definitely be a high draft pick in CFM drafts because he has that potential to continue to grow, whereas Jalen Ramsey might have the potential to regress as things go on here. Tre'Davious White for the Bills, getting 93 overall with 91 speed, 94 excel. Darius Slay, surprising again to see him on the list too, a guy who's kind of a veteran who a lot of people thought was declining, but he had a good year last year with the Eagles after moving away from the Lions. So giving him 92 speed as well is actually a super usable card there. And then Denzel Ward, this is one of the guys that I would definitely target. Last year I think he was an 89 overall when the reg season started. Now he's 92, and he's got 94 speed, making him the fastest player on this list here. Marshawn Lattimore, again, always a good lockdown cornerback option if you run a lot of man coverage. Stefan Gilmore, still clinging on to this list here with a new team now with the Colts. Probably the lowest speed on this entire list here. He's got a lot of good intangibles. I'm surprised his awareness is only 91. I would have thought that would be one of the stats pulling his rating up, to be honest. But you can also see we got J.C. Jackson from the Chargers over here. So we've had lots of Chargers defensive players on this list so far. Marlon Humphrey, who had his 96 limited last year for the Ravens, 92 speed. He's good height. And then A.J. Terrell, another guy that I'd be interested in drafting because he is so young. I think he's only 23 years old going into this season. So definitely some good options there. So there you have it, guys. A little recap of all the player ratings that have been released so far. EA is planning to do one more position group each day, so stay tuned to their Twitter feed and stay tuned to my YouTube channel for any other news. We're going to put out another video once all the remaining positions are put out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. If you want to see more MUT news, let me know in the comments, and make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.